All right, we are all wired up. This took quite a bit of time. Everything is just kind of loosely in place. You can see the little anchor up here that goes into the frame. It's kind of loose. I want to make sure everything works before we tighten all the little zip ties and everything. Believe it or not, these cable ties and everything, these are Suzuki OEM. All genuine stuff, man, like going above and beyond. Even the ones up here on the handlebars, they're all OEM. Again, all that stuff is loose. The harness itself is actually an aftermarket, but it seems pretty decent. Everything seems to have lined up. Got it clipped to the frame with an OEM clip. All of these little clips here for the cables and whatnot, they're all OEM. In the service manual, they have the spacing for where these little clips go and everything. So I really spent a lot of time trying to make this thing exactly like a factory. The back is the only part that isn't the way that it's supposed to be because the battery goes inside the rear plastic. So I kind of have it rigged up back there just so that we can see if this thing works. Down here, I've got the cable tie right here. That is the OEM one. There's a lot of cables and stuff. We're all in place. And now it's time for the moment of truth. Are we going to have power here? Oh, we've got the neutral light. That's great. The question is this thing going to turn over? Before we go turning over the engine, let's put some oil in there. If you haven't seen how we got to this portion of the build, make sure to go back and check part 1 of this video. I'll have that linked in the description below. When I said we're going over the top with OEM stuff on this build, I wasn't kidding, man. We're using the X-Star OEM oil, coolant, and even the X-Star brake fluid. So I've got this R5000. This is what it says in the service manual is the original oil that the Z400 used. It's not the synthetic one, so you know I could have gone a little more expensive, but this is the one that the manual suggests. So that's the one that I'm going to use, and we're going to go ahead and fill this bad boy up. I did not see a thing for priming the. Oh wow, it's actually got the metal tin in there, but I didn't see a procedure for priming the oil pump or the oil system or anything. It just says to dump. It should take about 2 quarts, and hopefully it should flow into the crankcase also because I'm filling it from the oil tank. I just want to get some oil in there before we start turning the engine over. We'll check for spark. And you can believe me, I'll be watching our welded case like a hawk to see if this thing leaks any oil, but we probably wouldn't really see that until it gets warm anyways. Let's be real though, there's not going to be any freaking leaks with this thing. I hope so. All right, let's see if this turns over. Kill is off. Oh, probably got to hold the clutch. All right, let me turn this over a couple times, get the oil flowing. Sounds like it's turning over nice and smooth. Let's see if we got any spark though. And you know we're using a genuine Suzuki spark plug. It is an NGK, and yes, I've gapped it. We'll pop this bastard in here. And if we have spark, all we need is gas, and this bad boy should start. All right, here we go. Oh, I gotta hold the damn clutch. All right, here we go. Oh, we got spark. We got spark. This almost seems too easy. Maybe the entire thing will just explode when we try starting it. You never know. But I have a good feeling that it's gonna work. Got a brand new fuel petcock on here. It's actually an aftermarket, but it's pretty nice. It looks just like the OEM one, and it feels really good too. Some of the aftermarket fuel petcocks are kind of junky. We'll throw some pre-owned fuel in here that I siphoned from my neighbor's car. All right, man, here we go. Fire in the hole. Let's try a little bit of choke. I don't smell gas yet. The carburetor might be filling up with fuel. Still not smelling fuel. Fuel's on reserve. A little bit of choke. It actually doesn't sound bad. I was a little bit worried about that that spark arrestor, man. That thing is microscopic. All right, let's get this thing together. I was a little worried there. Now that we know our engine runs, we can go ahead and put some coolant in here. And I gotta tell you guys, this is not just regular coolant. This is super long life coolant, okay? So this is gonna last a really long time. 50/50 Suzuki X-Star, going legit, bro, legit. I knew you guys would be wondering if I was gonna use the super long life coolant. Of course I am. Anytime that I'm filling up like any kind of fluid, I'm always listening for a trickling sound because I have forgotten to put drain plugs in and it just goes straight through to the floor. Now I will come back and burp the system later, but for now we'll put on this brand new OEM radiator cap right from Partzilla.com. Before moving on to putting anything else on this thing, I wanted to check the mail to see if our jets came. And sure enough, there it is, man. We've got a 132.5. I went to switch it out and I noticed something interesting with the fuel petcock. So this thing's got an on position, reserve position, and PRI, which stands for prime. So there's no off position. And I'm like, well, how the hell am I gonna turn the fuel off so that we can drop our bowl and swap out our jet? Well, it turns out that this petcock works on a vacuum system. And unless the engine is running and creating a vacuum, in the on position and in the reserve position, the fuel petcock actually won't flow. So the engine's gotta be running to get flow in those situations. And the PRI, the prime position, will let it flow freely. So I think that's why it took so long and so much turning over of the engine to get any fuel in our carburetor. Probably if we had put it in that prime position, it would have filled up the bowl right away and we probably would have got a quicker start. It's just one of those weird OEM things that I would probably modify if we weren't going for a completely OEM build. Apparently, the Raptor 660 petcock is a direct swap, and most people switch over to that to just alleviate from this kind of annoying design that apparently is prone to problems. Well, it looks like it actually did stop flowing, and it's in the on position. So I'm going to swap this jet out on my own, and then we'll move into the front end. And now that we've got the bigger jet in there, I think it's mandatory that we take the spark arrestor out and give it a quick pop, see what it sounds like. We also want to make sure that our coolant isn't leaking in the cylinder because our first start, we didn't have coolant in there, and it is possible that we've got a leaking head gasket. You never know. Should just pop off. There's our spark arrestor, man. Look at that thing. That is so tiny, dude. All right, let's see what it sounds like now. Oh my God, what a difference. That's unbelievable. All right, man, let's move into our front end. We've got our custom ball joints on our lower A-arms. So if you haven't seen the series, we actually cut off the old ball joints and then threaded the joints so that we could put these replaceable ones in there. And it should work out really nicely. I did measure them beforehand, the originals, so that I could thread these into the exact location that stock would be. I've already loaded brand new bearings in here, or bushings rather. Got anti-seize on all of our hardware. And let's see if we got some smooth operation here. Sometimes this can be a little tight with the fresh powder coating. It looks like we're gonna be good though. Get our hardware in here. All right, now we can get our shocks in here. These are the upgraded 2005. And the OEM service manual calls for the strongest thread lock on all of these. And not only that, but these are lock nuts too. So I guess they really don't want your shocks coming off. Now before we get the upper A-arm and everything, we've got all this open space. This is the perfect time to adjust our spring length. So the OEM service manual right here, you can see they've got the spring set length. So it'll tell you the exact length that that spring needs to be. The standard is 287.7 millimeters, or I think it's supposed to say 11.32 inches because 113.2 would be like 10 feet. So we'll go to basically 11 1/3 inches. That's about where we need to be. And then down here, they've got the adjustments for the rebound and the compression. So we'll set all that stuff to factory as well. Now, there's no need to go like super crazy accurate with these. We're not really doing like a motocross build or something. So we're just gonna use a good old ruler And it looks like we have about 11.5 inches. So if we take about 1/4 inch out of this, we should be good. So you can see we've got a jam nut up here. We're just gonna make sure that's loose. And then usually you can just grab the spring and spin this and it will thread down. So we're just gonna thread this down and then remeasure it until we're at the length that we want. All right, let's see where we're at. 11.25 is right there. We're about 1/16 of an inch further, so we got 11 5/16. We should be pretty much right on the money. That's about 11 1/3. Then I can spin down this jam nut. Then I'll take a spanner wrench and tighten this jam nut down, the locking ring, and that will stop it from coming loose. Then up here is the compression adjustment. We're going to turn this all the way in. All right, and then we're going to come out 1 3/4. So we have 1/2, 1, 1/2, and 1/4, and that is factory. And then down here is the rebound, same thing. We're going to turn it all the way in. Okay, right about there. And then we're going to come out 1 1/2. So we're 1/2, 1, 1/2. So right there is factory. All right, man, let's get these upper A arms in place. I can't believe how easy all this stuff is fitting together. Now, if you can believe it, these are the original knuckles from the 2003. Pressed this pin out, had that zinc coated by Motoblast. All of the hardware has brand new zinc coating, and then the aluminum portion is vapor blasted. Then I came back home, pressed back in the pin, and these things literally look brand spanking new. So pop these things in place, and the front end is really starting to shape up and look like a real machine. And then we've got brand new aftermarket tie rods going in here. And this is actually a little bit inaccurate for OEM spec because these are yellow zinc and the factory ones were blue zinc, which is silver. But we just won't tell anyone about that. We'll keep that between you and I and the other 100,000 people that watch this video, you know. Oh man, it's about to get crazy now. We've got our disc guard. We're gonna put in place, and believe it or not, they actually want medium strength Loctite on these. I wonder if this plate vibrates. All right, we'll get some anti-seize on this. And then we've got these beautiful hubs, man. That blue looks so good. I've got all new packed bearings in there, brand new disc. Got a fresh washer and our nut. And the last piece are these aftermarket calipers with OEM components, because the Chinese stuff that comes with these aftermarket calipers, man, sometimes it really sucks, but the calipers themselves are actually pretty decent. I've never had an issue with them. And then I've just got to run my brake line, pop it in our stays. Tighten our banjo bolt down. Now for tightening everything up in the front, you should really have weight on everything because there's a little bit of slop in the bolt holes and you want everything to be settled to the bottom position. I am feeling a little impatient and I want to tighten these up, so I'm going to simulate weight on the front end. I just put a ratchet strap hooking to the bottom of the lower front A-arms, and that will basically simulate weight on the suspension components so I can tighten them up now and we can move on. Now we can put the front bumper back in place, or as the manual likes to call it, the front grip. I had to take this off to do the A-arms because you can't get the bolts in there when this is in place. And now our front end is done. We're like almost done building this thing. You know, short of the rear end, that's really all we have left. And of course the plastics. It looks so cool, man. With the shocks on there, it's really coming together and actually looking like a somewhat complete machine. This is it, man. You know, besides the rear plastics and the seat, this is it. We got the pegs, the rear carrier, axle, chain, rear brake caliper, hubs. I mean, that's just like the exhaust packet. That doesn't even really count. And the heel guards. I'm pretty excited to get them on there. And we got the front plastics there, but you know, that's pretty much it, man. We've got the engine in there. It's fired up. Doing it backwards. Oh, of course, we've got the tires. How could I forget that? I am dying to get those tires on there, man. I think it's going to look so cool. Wheels and tires really bring everything together, and I am dying to see what they look like. So let's go ahead and get the axle on. All right, let's slide our carrier in place. This is from the 2005 donor quad. They updated the carrier, I think in 04. 03 kind of had like a lousy design. You know, this one's really not the best design either, but it's definitely an upgrade from the 03. And we've got these big bastards that go in here. I've got anti-seize on all this stuff because these are the chain adjusters. You have to loosen these. You can see these elongated holes. When you loosen these up, you can slide the carrier back and forth. There's actually an adjusting nut right back here. So we definitely don't want these getting seized. Take a little bit of our Suzuki grease and grease the inner lips of our seals. And for the axle, I like to put anti-seize where it meets the inner race of the axle bearings because these things do like to get seized sometimes. This will prevent that. All right, let's see if we can just slam this bastard in there. Oh, come on, you bastard. There we go, nice. Gonna put some super grease on our splines. Then we've got our brand new pre-owned sprocket hub and sprocket. It actually is a new sprocket and the original hub that I had refinished. So technically it actually is brand new pre-owned. Now for these axle nuts and washers, they actually want you to put a little bit of the Suzuki Bond, the same gasket serial that you use on the engine cases, in between the nuts and the sprocket hub, which is interesting. I'm not tightening these down right now though, so I'm just going to spin these in place, and then we're going to be using Loctite on these as well. And we'll grease up our splines for our hubs as well. Then we've got our beautiful hubs going on the back. These are the original hubs, had them powder coated at Bonehead Performance. Just sliding that in place, and I will be putting red Loctite on these and a cotter pin, but for now, we'll just put those in place too. And we've got our rear caliper. Man, I'll tell you what, this thing was a project and a half. Rebuilding the parking brake and all of the little components in here, it was just a lot of work, and this is all original stuff. This is all the Suzuki stuff. It came from the 2005 donor quad, and then another one that I ordered some other parts from so that we could make one complete good unit. Got a brand new disc on here, and hopefully all that work will pay off because this thing does look super legit. And the last thing I want to do is put on this thick aluminum skid plate. If there's anything that comes from the factory that's absolute garbage, it's those plastic skid plates. I really think that the factory should have had these from the start, no matter what, you know. And this is a really nice XFR. I did want to get the genuine Suzuki one because they did offer one, but I was not able to find it anywhere. So this one is going to be really nice. XFR makes really nice skid plates. If you can believe it, guys, it's already time to get our genuine Suzuki chain on. I think it's so cool getting the OEM parts, man. So this is an OEM chain. I believe it is an O-ring chain. Comes nice and greased up. It's an RK chain, 520. Awesome, dude. Suzuki OEM. Man, this thing has got chain wax to the max. It is greasy, man. Holy crap. And here is the master link. You see it's got right on there, RK, Japan. So you know it's good. Well, look, they've even got a little wire tie around the O-rings so they're not separated. I've never seen that before. And this master link is a rivet style, so I have to use a chain installation tool to crush our rivets on here. Doing these can kind of be tricky, but they're really not that bad. Now I can slip this chain guard back in place. This thing is so Z400. It's unbelievable. There are some things that just scream a classic, iconic look. And this chain guard is definitely one of them. Now normally I would run a DRW case saver, but in this case, because we want that OEM look, we are gonna run it. Oh, we are getting close, man. Putting on our foot pegs. Believe it or not, the manual suggests the low strength Loctite. I would normally use a red Loctite on the pegs, but we will use what the manual suggests. And arguably, the part that I've been most excited to install are these freaking heel guards. These are the OEM. They're aftermarket, offered by Suzuki. So for the theme that we're going for, this is absolutely perfect. This is something that the dealer would have possibly put on a showroom floor model, coming with the genuine Suzuki parts. It actually utilizes the foot peg bolt. These have really good fitment. Suzuki OEM for the win. I can't express how pleasing it is to work with stuff that just fits right. So we're gonna be moving into the plastics. We're pretty much there. And I know that this is bothering a lot of people, and you'd be interested to know that I actually swapped these fender brackets to the underneath position. I found another picture in the manual, and I think you can see right there that the fender mount is flush against the subframe. So in fact, I think that is the way it goes. I know that was bothering you guys, and I had to let you know. Oh baby, it's fender time. Oh my gosh, is this even happening? Oh, I don't even know. We've got some cables we got to pull through here for the battery. I guess we could lower this down and make it a little bit easier. Dude, how fresh are these decals on these brand new plastics, man? This seriously looks so good. Now I have got the exact OEM hardware for all of our mounting points. I just noticed something that is quite concerning, disturbing actually. What the hell is that? That looks like coolant. But that is such a weird spot. That would be a really weird spot to get a coolant leak. I honestly have no idea where that came from. I don't see anything dripping. Maybe it was there when we did the coolant and I just haven't noticed it this whole time, that it just, you know, flew there when we were filling it up or something. There's two ways to go about this situation. We could extensively diagnose this, or we could slowly back away and pretend that we were never here. I think that's what we're gonna do. All right, we've got a brand new lithium-ion battery we're putting in here. We get a little bit of weight savings. I know back in 2003, they probably wouldn't have had one of these lithium-ion batteries, but since it's a special edition, I think that adds a nice touch. Then we've got our battery stay that goes right over top. And you know, it wouldn't be official if we didn't have the OEM toolkit in there. This is a brand new bag, but these are actually the old tools. I had them zinc coated in yellow. The factory ones are silver. So it's supposed to be like a little special edition thing that only the Z400 guys would know. Probably like one guy in the entire world is really all that it would mean anything to, and that person is me. Pretty cool though, pretty cool. Oh man, this is exciting. The front fenders are going in place. You know we're getting close now. Then we've got the reverse lockout switch. Then we've got our side covers. These have got a number of tabs. Got to make sure these fit into all of them. Now for those of you that follow the Extra channel, which if you don't already, you definitely should, it's Michael Sabo Extra. We had some difficulty with the right side fender. You can see I got two of them here. The only reason that we had problems is because these are brand new fenders and they were a little hazy. The rest of the plastics here, they were like 1,200 bucks, and to have one piece that's mismatched, that's just not right. I tried everything in the world to polish these things up, and after reading the comments that you guys left, it sounds like this is a very soft type of plastic that's almost impossible to polish, at least these specific pieces. I don't know if they're faulty or what the deal is. I couldn't get them to polish up. Apparently, it needs to be done with a torch. I don't want to go melting those damn things. So I had a third one coming in the mail. It got lost in the mail, but in this box is the fourth one. Sent right from Partzilla. They overnighted it to me last night. So we're going to open this up together, and I am hoping to God that it's nice and shiny. The suspense is killing me, man. I gots to know if this is a shiny piece of plastic or not. This has been like the never-ending saga of plastic piece. I'm nervous. I'm nervous. Maybe there's two of them in here. Just one. I've got the tank shroud right here as a comparison for you guys to see. This is how glossy it should be. The camera kind of doesn't pick it up as much as in person. Oh, dude. It's got the same freaking thing. I don't know if you guys are going to be able to see this. It's like right in this section right here. All this up here is shiny. Even down here is pretty shiny. Just what the heck, man? It's got to be something with the mold. That is so bizarre. I'm hoping that the camera will pick that up. It looks like somebody was riding it. It's like knee rub or something. What the hell? Dude, there has got to be something wrong with the mold at Suzuki or something to have 3 of these come and all 3 of them have the same defect when the other side panel was nice and glossy. That is just totally, totally bizarre. You know what, man? I think for now, we're just going to send it. We've got Badlands coming up, and I want to have this quad there on display. Honestly, for video, you guys probably won't even notice if I didn't say anything. But in person, you know, it's one of those little things, and it should be perfect, man. You know, you're buying brand new stuff right from the factory, and it's really got me. It sucks. And aside from putting that one last decal on here, we've got the tank cover. And that will be it. You know, guys, I think I was maybe being just a little bit extra. With the graphics on there, and after wiping them down, quite honestly, I don't know that I would have really even said anything about these plastics. Now that the more scratched up portion is covered, it looks pretty damn good. All that we've got left is the seat and the wheels. Can you believe that I actually forgot to put this out in the spread in the beginning of this video? This was downstairs and I totally forgot about it. This is the original seat that came on the 03. The seat pan is anyway. That cleaned up really nice. It's got a brand new foam underneath from Moto Seat, all new bushings, and I even got the seat latch and spring re-zinc coated. So everything is like brand new. The cover is in a lighter blue than the factory blue offered in the early years of the Z400. I wanted to match that retro theme, and I think we nailed it. Oh, guys, I think 2003 just called and asked for the Z400 back. This thing looks absolutely awesome, man. It seriously looks like it just hopped out of the dealership in 2003 to 2005. I know, the shock absorbers are 2005. It's like a mixture of some components, but I think what we went for the retro themed special edition, you know, that's something where you would get the upgraded stuff in earlier years. So I am super happy with this, man. I just think it looks awesome, man. It really does remind me of my childhood and just walking through the dealership. Oh, dude, I'm so pleased with this. Let's fire it up. It has maybe 10 minutes on it, just running here in the driveway. Pop on our key, make sure we're good to go here. Oh man, didn't even have to give it any gas. I played with the idle just a little bit. I have not put it into gear yet while running. So the whole idea here is to see if we go into all 5 gears. So it's a 5-speed, and then we have reverse. We got to test that out too. I don't think we have any leaks. I had a little bit of an issue with a leak in the oil, external oil tank. If you guys watch the extra channel, I talked about that there. I believe I have that fixed. I don't sense any leaking from our weld. So I don't think we have any leaks at all. That little thing on the side of the cylinder, it's been 2 days now, and I haven't seen anything come out of there. I don't know what the deal was with that, but I think we're good to go. Coolant level is still the same. It sounds really, really good, especially at idle. It's got a really nice mellow tone. It sounds great, and it's actually pretty loud when you give it gas. The engine itself is really quiet. You can hear the cam and the cam chain a little bit, but all normal sounds. It's actually pretty quiet for the most part. If you compare it to like a 400EX or something, it's very quiet. Really, really looks good. It sounds good. I was thinking about putting the quiet core in there because for those of you that follow the channel, you know my neighborhood they're not too fond of me, specifically for things like this. So I think what we'll do is just take it up and down the street real quick, make sure it goes into all the gears. We'll get that out of the way first, and then maybe we'll do a little bit of a sound check here on the property after we take it out on the road, because you never know, man. Sometimes people call around here really quickly. Oh man, this is sweet. Uh-oh. Did we lose our ignition? All right, I'm not sure what. Oh, there it goes again. So we've got an electrical connection or something. It's popping on and off. I did notice before, I think the ignition might be on its way out, because for whatever reason, when I would wiggle this key, it would come back on and off. You can see it's kind of doing it right now. The ignition housing is still the original one from the 2003. The key boot is new, but it's actually the same key, and that's a sealed unit. I'm not sure if I can pull that apart. I would bet that the contacts are corroded in there, and it's possible that it could just be the type of thing where I need to turn it on and off a bunch of times and, you know, get the contacts cleaned off. But I'd really like to. I should probably replace that. I do think that's what it is, though. It seems like it's going on and off now. Hopefully we can get a ride in here and that won't affect us. We just got to go up and down the road. Oh man, there it goes again. The problem is we just don't want to be dead in the water down at the bottom of the street. Maybe if we leave it in the upper one, it seems to work a little bit better. All right, here we go. First gear. Nice and smooth. Oh man, it's crazy how loud this thing is. All right, so we got first gear, second gear, third gear, fourth gear, fifth gear. All right, so all 5 gears forwards are working. We're not out of the water yet, though. We got to try reverse gear, and it shifts nice and smooth. That was kind of one of those things I was a little bit concerned about, just because, you know, we welded the case right where the transmission is. We'll give it just a little bit of gas. It's not bad, it's not bad. It ain't no Banshee though, I can tell you that much. I just got done riding the Voodoo Banshee, and man, that thing is super fast. This thing only has like 30 horsepower, but they were never really crazy out of the box. It feels great though, dude. It really feels just like a brand new machine. Basically stock. It's all bark and no bite with that the slip-on exhaust. It's jetted up one size. I can feel the alignments off just a little bit. It'll probably be fine for the dirt, but it's not terrible, but you can feel it pulling a little bit. So we'll just take it right back up the road. And unfortunately, that's going to be it. We will be taking this thing out soon. Sounds really good though, man. It runs really good. I'm happy with it. All right. It's got me smiling, man. You don't have to have crazy power to be smiling. All right, let's see if we can get it into reverse here. I think we'll twist this down. So that should be reverse. All right, dude. Transmission is good to go. To all the haters that said that these cases would be junk, they work. Very, very smooth. This is a really nice, this would be a great rider. This is an awesome quad to just have as a rider. Probably wouldn't beat you up too bad. And it sounds great. And you know what else? It's waterproof because I still have that original airbox lid on there. Yeah, man, that is freaking sweet. All right, let's pull this thing in before the neighbors call the cops, before they hate me even more than they already do. Really, really smooth machine, man. The clutch and everything just feels very, very good. Uh-oh. It took like 0.5 seconds there. It was like off and then it shut off. Definitely that ignition, I think, is the issue there, which is actually a good thing because that's an easy thing to swap out, man. But everything else looking good. I don't see any drips down here. I know we just came into the dark garage, so I don't know how much you guys are going to be able to see, but the weld looks really good. And you got to admit, man, that weld, it's basically invisible, man. I know I'll still get crap for that, but man, I am super happy with this. Well guys, we did it. We managed to go back in time and save a 2003 LTZ400. I think we did a pretty damn good job. This is definitely what we were going for. I would say that this is something that could be on the showroom floor in 2003 as a dealer special, something that Suzuki offered with a retro theme. So if you look at the original rendering, well, not the original, you know, we played around with that quite a bit and jumped around from different ideas, but the way that I had it envisioned in my final envisionment before we started the project, I think we're pretty close, man. This definitely has the look of the old school LT250R. The 1988 was the exact year that I wanted to replicate. My first ever real, big boy quad and restoration was a 1988 LT250R. So to me, this one is super special, and the fact that it has the nostalgia feeling from the dealership that I used to have back in the day. In 2003, I was like 11 or 12 years old. So I used to go to the dealership, and the Z400 was the quad, man. This is the one I wanted. I gotta give a huge shout out to you guys, because in all of my projects, it's not just me here. I consider you guys a big part of the project. This one specifically, we had a number of pieces, such as the wheels, that were donated by subscribers, and some other parts as well, including the entire machine, which was donated by Michael Fisher. So huge shout out to him. He does have a YouTube channel if you guys want to check him out. These projects get really expensive. I know there's people that want to see the breakdown of the budget on this thing. I'm not going to do the breakdown in here, but I do have the average cost, or the estimated cost anyways. I'm still doing the final breakdown, but it's right around $15,000, man. These projects are not cheap. That includes all of the services like powder coating, getting the cylinder done, getting the cylinder head rebuilt, the zinc, the vapor blasting, and things like that. And then, of course, the heaping mound of OEM parts that we got from Partzilla.com. The plastics alone were nearly $1,300. So also a huge thank you to the companies that help make projects like this possible, because, man, I just don't know if they would be quite as good without their help. So huge thank you to Power Sports Nation for providing the machine itself. Even though they didn't actually get this machine, it was somebody that they hooked me up with through their connection. So if it wasn't for them, we would have never had this Z400. They also provided the 2005 parts donor machine, which there's quite a bit of that machine on this, including the frame. And I got to mention Partzilla. They helped out tremendously with the OEM parts. This is the most OEM build that I've ever done. There are just so many OEM parts on this thing, from the front to the back. It's just unbelievable. If any of you guys are doing a build, or you're just doing maintenance or building any of your stuff, definitely check out Partzilla.com. It's a company that I've been using since I was a kid, man. They definitely meshed in with the channel really, really nicely. I hate being like pitchy and, advertising and marketing, but like the companies that I talk about with you guys are the companies that I legitimately use and that I would legitimately recommend. On top of that, we got Bonehead Performance. They are the best when it comes to powder coating. If you guys haven't seen my video on going to the Bonehead Performance facility and watching how they prep their stuff, how they powder coat it, how they put special clear coats on it, and they treat the metal and stuff like that, they just go above and beyond to make sure that your powder coated finishes and Cerakoted finishes last as long as possible. And then all of our zinc to make this thing look super OEM. That came from Motoblast. That's a service that I didn't even know existed, and I'm so glad I found Motoblast, because you cannot make your stuff look mint and OEM without getting new zinc coating. It's not really a process that most people can do on their own. You got to set up like a tank and get the right chemicals, and you can take old OEM hardware that you might not even be able to replace, send it to James, he'll vapor blast it, clean it off, and then he puts the new zinc on there, and it basically is new hardware. And then you've also got the vapor blasting service, which is also offered by Motoblast. Best vapor blasting in business, James at Motoblast. He's got it honed in, man. He does a tremendous work. He really does. So highly recommend James over at Motoblast. And then we've got our graphics, which I designed myself. However, I could never get them printed on my own without the help of graphics producers. Those guys did a tremendous job of working with me to make sure that my art design could work with the printing and it didn't come out messed up or anything. They made the colors just right so that it would match the yellow plastics. They also helped me with some of the warning labels that were unavailable anymore. So I replicated the little frame decals and stuff like that. And they'll also make custom graphics that they design for you, because not everybody's a graphic designer. And last but not least, I want to thank Millennium Technologies for replating the cylinder. That was the original cylinder from the Z400. So, we could have gone out and done an aftermarket one and swapped it, like, the cheap, easy route, but we've got the original cylinder in there. It's got brand new Nicocel coating, and this thing should last a really long time, man. So awesome to come together with those companies and you guys to make this project possible. If you guys want to see this in person, I will have it at Badlands in Attica, Indiana on June 8th. I'll be there all day Saturday. Come out, see the Z400. I'll also have the Tri-Z with me, the KX250X, and I may have some other machines as well. I think the Lakota is going to be there. Just some cool stuff that's been on the channel. And the guys from Power Sports Nation will be there, as well as some other creators. It is a blast. Last year we were out there, and it was just so awesome getting to meet some of you guys. If you see me and I'm busy, feel free to go over to the Z400 and check it out for yourself, and do not be afraid to come up and say hi. Last thing I want to show before I cap off this series, I saw a number of people in the comments that were like, "Oh, dude, whatever happened to the blue hood? I thought you were going to put the KFX 400 hood on there." I've got one right here, man. I didn't forget about this. I just basically nixed the idea. For those of you that follow the Extra channel, which you should check it out, it's Michael Sabo Extra, I did talk about it on there. So basically, here is a brand new KFX 400. I don't know if you would call this a hood or a fascia or whatever. It would lay a little bit more flush, but it does stick up like this a little bit. You've actually got to drill holes in the OEM plastics to make this fit. And then, of course, the little cross piece, that would be black too. Well, actually blue. I was going to paint this the same color as the frame. But just in looking at it, I don't know. I don't think it would look... It didn't have the right look, in my opinion. So I decided we're just not going to run it. And, you know, so, you know, it's got the original LT250R theme with the colors and some of the other stuff on here. And then I wanted it to still have the Z400 heritage. And I feel like the front of the Z400 all being yellow, that's just where it's at, man. So I just decided not to run this. That's the deal with that. I know a lot of people were asking, so I just wanted to let you guys know. So if you enjoyed this video, man, please give me a thumbs up. That helps out tremendously. If you enjoyed any part of this series, man, or if you didn't see this series, you got to go back and check it out, man. I'm telling you, man, this thing was wasted when we got it. I appreciate all you guys. Subscribing helps me out a lot, too. Check out the second channel, Michael Sabo Extra. And I will take this out, I promise. It's going to be hard to get this thing dirty, but I will do one rip on it. At least, I promise. So probably out at the Badlands, I'll do that there, and I'll have a breakdown of the budget of everything that went into this thing. But otherwise, man, this project is a wrap, and I will see you guys in the next series. Peace out. Time to get some food.